So yeah, there was some stuff this weekend, Earl, and you saw a lot of it also that just blew me away. I don't know if you want me to talk to anything specific, but the money game is ridiculous, and a lot of stuff is right in plain sight. Like I said, Uncle Sam will tell you, right? If you go to some of these some of the good investment companies, they'll have everything there. They have to by law. Set up a consultation. You know, call Earl, call myself. We work with a group called Wealth Max, and they will set you up with land banking, private reserve accounts. I mean, again, if folks are not getting into the idea of doing better with their money, then they're out of their minds. You know, and there's two goals that everyone should be focused on. One, making sure that your labor and your employment and your current paychecks are paying for your lifestyle without swimming in debt, without having to whip out the credit card. During COVID, people lost their jobs, so a lot of people living off their credit card. So if your first objective is to pay for your lifestyle without swimming in debt, and if you can do that well, then cool. Then with your extra money, put that towards investments, because your investments are supposed to pay for your future lifestyle and your future's lifestyle, which means your kids and your kids' kids. So if folks aren't thinking that way, then we got a lot of work to do. So, you know, that's why I started Project Greenwood.
Well, this is crazy. We got right now about 40 people on our live, and the numbers are climbing. So we're gonna get as deep as into this money game as we can in the next 20 minutes. Ambrose, you got the next question, brother.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm just here like, wow, what's going on right now? And having Earl by my side, he always teaches me about money as well. So I feel like I'm hearing it over and over again, which is a good thing. My next question is, a lot of people, the reason why they are not really getting into like entrepreneurship is because they are not really motivated. What keeps you motivated every day to strive for better?
So I'll give you the quick answer, and then I'll give you the better answer. I'm a dad first, and a granddad now also, and I always want more for my family. But once you start helping other people, it really it triggers something in you. It really does. And then I'm just going to be real transparent with all that's going on in America right now. We have to do better. And I am, for one, we got 40 people listening. I hope I don't offend anybody. I'm sick and tired of us trying to take a slow turn through having them change the rules. Listen, capitalism can work in our favor or it can work against us. And when I hear people, so I have on my wall, the Black Wall Street right there, right? I hate when people pimp the whole Black Wall Street idea and say we got to rebuild Wall Street, and the only concept they have is spending money with other companies. That's a great idea, but Greenwood, Oklahoma was Black Wall Street, right? These folks, they were building businesses. So if I can help people not just spend your money differently, but build your income and become an entrepreneur, and then help others do the exact same thing. Now we have a different mission. Now it's not so much about where I buy my chicken wings from and who I buy my next shirt from, because if I'm just a consumer, then it's still money going out and no money coming in. We have to have 1,000 new Black millionaires come up this year in COVID, because everyone's sitting at home on their screens. Because right now there's 1,400 millionaires a day being created. And when COVID hit, that number actually went up. Those folks got to look like you and me, because nothing changes the situations that we're in with the over policing in our communities and the mistreatment and us always, everyone wants our vote, everyone wants our dollar, but we don't get that same dollar. 2% of our dollar stays in our community. 2 hours, it stays in our community. Guess what? We no longer have communities anymore because we don't own it here. So we're going to invest in our communities. Our communities are virtual now. We're sitting here, you guys are upstate New York, I'm in Connecticut. Our communities are no longer where we live. Our communities are where we reside socially online. So we can use that to build listen, I'll lose sleep over that. You talking motivation, that haunts me. Forget me saying I need to get motivated. That right there, that's in my ear 24/7. That's been in my ear for years. And when this new thing came around, it just lit a fire in me. I've been thinking about this and trying how to figure out how do we do this for years. So, it's on now.
Wow, man.
Listen, don't ask me questions like that, bro, because it's will be a whole different podcast.
No, because the reason why I ask is that a lot of newbies are on our podcast. They are listening. They're thinking about getting into real estate or different type of business. They're not really motivated. They're trying to get some type of motivation going on. So it's always good to listen to people who's been in the game for a while. Give them a little motivation going on. So for my next question, right?
Well, let me say this to you, Ambrose. Most people don't need motivation. They just need to get over their fears. Real estate's scary for a lot of people. Motivation is, listen, if you like that new fancy car, then cool, go get some. Let's get this paper. If you want to impress the whoever you trying to impress, cool, let's get some paper, because that's an easy way to impress somebody. You can find reasons to be motivated. That comes from whoever you are, right? Everyone's different. But right now, I get anger is a good motivator. Here you go, right? Being desperate is a good motivator. So when people start saying, well, how do you motivate yourself? Listen, you choose the emotion, and then you fill in the part that fits, and then you get to work. Because I couldn't be more angry at some of the stuff that's going on, and I'm not even talking about the social unrest. I'm talking about everybody pimping Black Wall Street just so they can build their groups and sell a T-shirt or two. Like, and this shirt, I don't even sell this shirt. This is just my shirt. I'm making this so I can wear on stuff like this. I
also got a shirt as well.
There you go. Got to represent.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm going to pass the next question to Earl.
All right. So for those who are tuning in, we have Dana Turnquest. He is an entrepreneur. He's done many things, from lease options to wholesaling. He has some buy and hold property as well. And he's talking to us about the money game. He has a home business, which basically in our first segment, we were able to talk about why just having a home business allows you to write off your lifestyle, your home. You can pay your children, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dana, you can pay your children up to 12 grand a year, tax-free?
Yes, so the government will allow your first $12,000 of earning to be tax-free, right? So, and again, if you're under 18, you pay very little in taxes anyway. So you could hire your kids and write off their whatever you give your kids, whatever payment you give your kids every single year. And there's ways where if you are making a certain amount of money, you can actually pay yourself through setting up, your S corp the right way and stuff like that. So there's a lot of ways. Everyone gets mad at Jeff Bezos because he hadn't paid taxes in so long. Jeff Bezos has 7 zillion employees. That's why you can write off everything. Jeff Bezos has a whole infrastructure with trucks and transportation and planes. All of those things are write-offs. If you have a certain amount of real estate debt, those are write-offs. So Uncle Sam will let you write off a bunch of stuff. So you have a home-based business. There's so many things in your home, like your kids working for you, that you can write off. And here's the thing: if all my kids are older than 18 right now. If my kids were still younger, I could pay. They're all going to get money for birthdays and Christmas and graduation and school shopping and trips and whatever throughout the year. If I paid them a biweekly salary and just put that money in an account, when I need to spend that money on those things, I would just use that account. And every dollar I paid them, I would document it, and then I would be able to write that off at the end of the year. So my income, let's say the income was 100,000, but I gave all my kids, say 10,000 a piece to 30,000. Now I'm being taxed on 70,000 instead of 100,000, and then you could write off the rest of that also. So I'm right now, I'm in my basement. My home office is right over here. Right, we got the rest over there, and this part of my home is a percentage of my write-offs. Right, utility right now. I got the heat on, got the lights on. Got to write that off also. Right. And anything. If I drink water all the time, so I write all of that stuff off. If Earl and I go and hang out and grab a meal, we write that off. Everything. It's when you have a home-based business, your lifestyle can be written off. And Earl and I actually have a tax bot, because the company that we're with, they provide a lot of strategies and tools. We have something called tax bot. I jump in my car, it asks me immediately, is this, well, it says we're tracking your trip. Let us know, is this business or personal? And then you decide. If you decide to go to, wherever, it's personal. If you decide, if you turn left as personal, you turn left as business. Who knows? It's up to you. But the app does a lot of the work.
Awesome. Now, so Dana, you were telling me something really dope just not more than 24 hours ago with this private reserve account. So that if I do a wholesale deal and say I wanted to split half of my my earnings between my business account and throwing it in that private reserve account, that also decreases my taxable income.
Correct. So
you talk about that a little bit?
yeah. So if you get a good tax person, they'll tell you that the two places you could put your money in where you can hide it, not kind of hide it, but where it's protected from Uncle Sam, is in real estate or in retirement accounts, especially those that are attached to life insurance, because those are typically untaxable. Now, if you have an IRA, most people understand IRAs have a cap on them. You can only put so much in an IRA. And there's a lot of accounts that you have that have caps on them. But setting up stuff through an insurance vehicle, you have more flexibility. You can put more money into those, right? So if you have a whole life insurance vehicle that allows you to use it also as an investment account. And a lot, again, this is how the Rockefellers have had generational wealth. Because think about this. If you start at, Ambrose, how old are you, sir, if you don't mind me asking?
28.
28. So let's say Ambrose is 25, just because I like round numbers. And he decides for 25 years to put $1,000 a month into an account that's making about 8% interest. By the time he's 50, that account is close to, let's say, $1 million. But if it's set up the right way, he can borrow against that account. That original $1 million stays in there, continues to earn interest, and he could just use the money that he borrowed to pay his bills or whatever. Now, if his bills are less than the interest that's being earned, he doesn't even have to pay that money back because the interest pays it back, and the account continues to grow. When Ambrose is old and ready to go and he's 75, 85, 95 years old, that account has been earning interest since he was 55 and continues to earn interest until he passes. Once he passes, because it's a life insurance account, it's a death benefit. It goes to his kids. And if you set up the trust the right way, that account can continue to earn interest even after you pass away. So again, that's how Rockefellers and different families stay wealthy. They put their money in vehicles that continue to earn interest even when they're gone. When your family can live off the interest of money that you put away a generation ago, you're done. And again, now we're talking generational wealth, not some susu nonsense that people are trying to sell people on. And, people just saying, people have to do more than just talk. You have to use real strategies. And if you follow what real families of wealth and real families who've had generational wealth have done, the strategies are there. You just got to figure out how you get in, how you get your foot in the door. And now we figure that part out.
All right, go ahead, little bro. You got the next question.
Yeah, listen, I can sit here and just listen to you all day, just talk, so much. And Earl spoke a lot of good things about you as well. So, what is I know my question seems a little basic, but because I want to know the basic information and how
sure.
you really got to where where you're at right now. What'd you say? I couldn't hear you.
You said, how did I get here?
Yeah, like what is your not inspiration, but like who have you who inspired you, growing up or right now, who inspires you to make like want to make the change, want to like think more ahead of like
So I'm
people like me basically.
Yeah. I'm going to there's so my uncle, he was a businessman since day one. So I always grew up around seeing success with him, right? So NCAA athlete, business major, and once as far as I can remember, he was always doing business. He managed artists. You know, talking about my Uncle Alfred. If any family members are listening, shout out to my Uncle Alfred. He passed away, but dope dude. And he would always make me do stuff. I would come to his house. He'd have a freaking jar of nickels this big. And he would say, for every 4 you put in a little sleeve, you'll get 1. So he'd make me work for money. Even when I was a kid, I was working for money, putting nickels in sleeves for him and stuff like that. He always had nice cars. He always leased. He always had nice houses. And you never knew what he did because he was a business person. He helped Gladys, and I don't know if you know who Gladys Knight is, Ambrose, and if you don't, I'm gonna kick you off the Zoom. You might have to Google her. I hope so. But he Gladys Knight and him and his godbrother, his godbrother is actually married to Gladys Knight. They helped her open a restaurant. He managed, like I said, certain musical artists. He did a lot of stuff with plays and movies, just different business, and he taught business in school. So he was a big influence for me growing up. But I'll say this, I grew up in Harlem. I grew up around a lot of people making money. And I'm gonna leave some of that there. You know, I wasn't always a college student, right? I wasn't always, you know, this guy you see right here. And I'm not saying I was never big time or anything, but I grew up with some cats who were, you know, making money. And when you're around it and you see people who shouldn't have what they have, but they still get it, and they hustling to get it, and they being entrepreneurs themselves, you figure out in a real quick way that there's always money to be made if you're willing to work for it. So,
Earl, I'm gonna let you take the next question.
All right. So, I mean, as we're getting close to our time, but I got 3 really big questions, and I really want you to kind of share out your thoughts on this. Okay, so, you know, I guess the first question is this. You know, so recently, you know, I listened to a podcast, and you know, big ups to earn your leisure. I love that, and the conversation revolved around black on black crime and how it's mitigated by black on black commerce. And you know, just share your thoughts on that.
So you that's the same podcast you shared, and he was also talking about Greenwood, which was kind of dope in one of his other podcasts. There's so many narratives that are being spun around our culture by us and about us. The parts that are by us is because we've been told them so many times that we then either put a spin on it and try to make it our own, and we retell the story. But the idea that, you know, black people are criminals and those kind of stuff, America's kind of woken up to that, which is good. If you look on, you know, social media, you got white folks saying, here's some black history that was never told. Here's some whitewashing of history that we were told. So a lot of that stuff is changing. The idea that black on black crime is this big thing that we always talked about, when you really look at it, black on black crime is what it is because black people live in the neighborhoods they commit crime in. And if you look at the FBI data, it's in, you know, black on black crime is say 85%, white on white crime is 81%. I mean, it's a crime of proximity more than it is these people are just worse off. Now, when you take resources from people, yeah, crime's gonna be a little bit higher in that community. But literally, you're talking about 80% for white folks, you know, 86% for black folks. It's not like it's ridiculously high, right? So that's the narrative we start to talk about all the time. And then we also have these other narratives around how we spend our money and how we have to be flossy and fly and that kind of stuff. Because when you don't have much, what you do is you act like you have much, which is why people floss and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have and not show than to show and not have. So when you start talking about black on black commerce, the idea, and again, that's really why I really wanted to push this issue. Black on black commerce is great, but here's the challenge. We need more people to buy from. We need more black businesses. We need more black entrepreneurs. When you have to set up a network of websites just to find black businesses, because that's the new thing now, right? If you want to know what Black businesses are in your city, go to thiswebsite.com. I love the idea, but the fact that we even have to do that just to find Black businesses says that there's not enough of us. So we have to restructure how we buy, and we have to restructure how we earn. Because at the end of the day, if we are still just consumers, then we're not really building a new Black Wall Street. We're just, if Ambrose has a business and Earl and I are consumers, we could we could spend all our money with Ambrose for the rest of our life. He's going to retire rich. Two of us are going to still retire broke. And we supported our own, but I'm still going to be 85 and work until I die. And Ambrose's grandkids are going to go to freaking Howard, right? And not paying for it. So that still has to change. So I love the idea of buying Black, right? The people who do my housing stuff, my HVAC guy is Black, right? My plumber is Black, right? The guy who does, he did some work for me with some property. He's Black. I work with a lot of Black folks to do real estate already. And my man Hiram was on here. I call him my brother. He's Puerto Rican, right? I want to keep as much of that in the community, but sometimes you got to look for that, and we need more of it. We need to create it, and that's the whole idea behind Project Greenwood. Black folks who live paycheck to paycheck, we got to fix that. Black folks who need to make more money, we got to fix that. Black folks who need home-based business, need a team of experts to fix their issues, need to, try to figure out this whole virtual game, make money. We got a remedy for that. We got one vehicle who puts all of that under the same umbrella. So if Earl gets a business partner, a customer, or does anything in business, it touches several Black hands because he's part of the same network of people. And it just continues to go. And the bigger Earl gets, the bigger we get. It's all part of the same thing. And right now, when you talk to someone, hey, listen, can we get together? It's like, nah, I already got my thing going on over here. And that brother's over there. And you talk to a sister, hey, sister, yeah, listen, we got this thing going. We're helping folks with finance. And she's like, nah, I'm already set. I'm good. I already got my thing going on over here. Got it. You're good. He's good, but we're not good. So we have to figure out how we can put it together, and the infrastructure already exists, and we have the vehicle already in place.
I love that, man. So that's that cooperative economics that we hear people talk about all the time.
That's it. We hear people talk about it, but how are you doing it?
Right. Here's the next big question, and this question is near and dear to me. So, I have a son who graduates this year, and the traditional thinking is that we go to college and we get some sort of training, and then we go to corporate America and then spend some years climbing a ladder where now we have spoken to so many entrepreneurs on this platform that now my mindset is that,
yeah, I know you're going with this one.
Oh yeah, my mindset is that that traditional path is broken. Could you speak to that? Because I know over the weekend there was some conversation around how education, and you're in education as well as an entrepreneur, I'm in education, how the educational system is in bed with big business to kind of keep us subservient.
So yeah, so here's the thing. I'll say this: education can open doors for people who don't have. If you don't have it, it may be a little bit tougher, right? The mindset, though, of I need to go to school so that I can get a job till I die, that mindset has to change, right? The rat race is built on the educational system. And way back in the early 1900s, Rockefeller dropped a bag on the public school systems because he wanted them to perform a certain way. He did not want them to teach anything around making money, taxes, or anything. He wanted them to learn how to be employees. And if you even look at college majors, they're all based on jobs and companies. Every college you go to, it's a field of employment. It's not a field of study. It's a field of employment. And these companies throw money at these schools to teach these curriculums. And that's why even if you take a major that's not aligned with the job, people will look at you strange. Why'd you choose that major? Because we are so conditioned to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get, me too, to get a job.
How's that? How you gonna get a job with that major?
Right, but that's, we are so conditioned. But here's the challenge. If you don't have strategies on creating wealth, what else are you going to tell your kids? So I can't knock anyone who tells their kids to go to school to get a job if you don't have any other strategies. So stuff like this gets me excited because we're showing people that if you change your mindset now, a generation from now, your kids are going to tell their kids, hey, listen, if you go to school, take this major because this is the family legacy we're building. Because you can still take a major that helps build your legacy, but the mindset has to shift. And I'll just remind people of this. Education, and I said this, I'm an educator. I know there's probably coworkers who will listen. Education has the whole race thing wrong, and they have the whole financial thing wrong, right? Because they're just so conditioned to doing it the same way. Educators right now are trying to figure out how to teach Black people, Black studies and get Black teachers in the schools and stuff like that. I get it. I love the idea. There's just not enough Black male educators out there. There's not enough Black educators out there. So that narrative, we'd have to grow that crop of people. But the idea that that's what Black education needs is warped, because really what we need is the miseducating of white folks to stop. Because that alone will level the cultural playing field. And then we got to add financial education to our educational system. My daughter, whether she learns, Black history or real American history, I don't really care. But as long as it's the real story. If her version of American history is the people who are villains, we turn into heroes because we are rewriting history, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. Right? We in the last year or two, we changed Columbus Day to Indigenous People Day in a lot of parts of the country because people realized that, damn, this Columbus dude was vicious. This dude genocided a whole people. A whole race is gone because of what he did. And we celebrated that dude for 50, 60, 70, 80 years. Or however, well, listen, how long? 1482? So hundreds of years. We've been celebrating this dude. And now within the last few years, people were saying, that has to change. So we have to re-educate white folks. White folks been walking around like they just the king of the world because that's how we educated them. Of course, young white men are storming the state capitol because we done told these guys they were gods and everything that they did since day one is great and we'll put you in the history books, even if you do terrible stuff, right? So we unwhitewash education and history and then add financial literacy to education. If that happens, cool. If that doesn't happen, then we got to do it ourselves. That's what Project Greenwood is doing.
Nice. I'm gonna kick this next question over to you, Ambrose, as we kind of, get ready and wrap this up.
Hey, listening to you talk about Project Greenwood, I'm really interested in it. And after this, I'll definitely, see if I can get in contact with you as well.
Listen, there's no young person who should ever figure out how to contact anybody. You guys are better at social media than the rest of the planet. Everyone can find anyone. I'm definitely going to add you on Facebook. Right. What are we talking about here? I'm going to try and see if I can find you. And dude, what are you talking about? Everyone can find anyone. I need to hire some young people to help me with my social media stuff. Y'all already got this locked down.
We spend our time on social media anyways. So, man, I don't really understand or even think I'll have any more questions. I just really want to hear more about Project Greenwood. And I know I have a nephew as well who's basically want to get into real estate because of me. He's been watching me and seeing the work ethic that I put in every day when I wake up to go to bed. And I really want to, introduce him to you as well, just to get a little bit of, because he's 20 years old. He's still young. He don't really have anything going on right now.
That's the 28.
You don't like school too, so I don't. Yeah,
he's so young.
He followed me and just
20.
He's well.
my son's older than you, so just keep that in mind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I be feeling like I'm old sometimes, man. You know, because
If
there's so
you're
many things I want to
old,
accomplish.
if you're old, I must be an antique or a fossil. So, and yeah. So yeah, we good. What's your question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, not really a question. I was just gonna tell you, you know, about the project Greenwood, and I know a lot of people want to hear about it. You know,
Okay.
if there's is there a website that they can go to, you know, to learn more about it?
So I would just have them just reach out to me or reach out to Earl. Earl's part of the team also. Like I said, we're putting stuff together where people can come and get information. It's one of those Underground Railroad type of things where yeah, we do have a Facebook page that I'm putting up, and folks can figure out where they fit in. But again, it's real. It's for people who actually want to take action, you know, towards creating what Greenwood was. And the you know the idea that Greenwood, Oklahoma is Black Wall Street. You know, people always talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma. Greenwood was outside of Tulsa. Tulsa was where white folks lived, and a very wealthy man who had oil on his land, sold his land, used that money, bought the area that we now call Black Wall Street, which was Greenwood, Oklahoma. He and other entrepreneurs cleared the land, and then house by house, business by business, built Black Wall Street into one of the most affluent parts of the country, not just of the Tulsa area. Black Wall Street was very affluent, where white businesses were doing business with Greenwood for years until the whole massacre happened on June 1st. So when you have these businesses that they were self-reliant, but what they did was they kept building. So Ambrose wants to come and be part of Greenwood, Oklahoma. Cool, Ambrose, what skills do you have? Because here's the thing, the slaves were the builders of the houses. They did the crops. They did all of the work. So all of the skills, the slaves had all of the skills. They were taking care of the kids. They were taking care of the sick. They were doing all of the things. So when they leave, that's why we were such a hot commodity. That's why people went to war to keep us, because the value of a person was in the skills he had, right? You're not just selling a person, you're selling a person who is labor in 4 or 5 different ways. So when we were freed and we were able to go and do our own thing, we got to work. We were already used to working. They were working us to death, literally. So when we had opportunity to build our own, that's exactly what we did. And that's why it grew so fast. But here's the challenge. White folks burned it down. Same thing with Rosewood. And it happened to many communities after, you know, we were freed as slaves, and now Black folks are scared to build. So now we have to start to rebuild. And again, I'm from Harlem. I grew up in Harlem. We don't own Harlem. Black folks don't own Harlem anymore. So we can't say we got to build our community. That's my place. That's where my heart is. But we don't own Harlem. And to try to buy it back, it's already bought out. So the only way we can own our own is to buy it back virtually. We could start building right now virtually. And even when folks, you know, start talking about, we got to boycott this, we got to boycott McDonald's, we got to boycott Amazon. Guess what? Black folks own Amazon stores. Black folks own McDonald's. The idea of how we do stuff, people have it skewed. There's Black people who own different businesses out there that are under another label, but I know a ton of Black folks. I know 4 people right now who own Black McDonald's in New York. I think it's one in upstate New York too, or somewhere. I forget. I don't know if he's in Rochester, but he's upstate New York. But Black folks have owned franchises for years. How do we teach people to think like franchise owners, buy into a system that exists, pull other people in, grow that infrastructure and that network with something that already exists, and keep building? Uber was built by drivers recruiting other drivers. So we got to stop thinking about, you know, buying back our community. Listen, you can't buy back New York City and Harlem. All that stuff is already expensive and bought up. You can't do it. So we have to buy differently. We have to think of it differently. That's the idea behind Project Greenwood. How do we get people to buy into infrastructure, think like franchisees, get set up inside a system that we already have? So every time we spend money, it hits several people, right? Ray Kroc did McDonald's. Anytime someone got the land, McDonald's was making more money from real estate than they were from French fries. All because it was inside that same system. We got to think differently. So that's more what Project Greenwood is. I love the idea we're talking about real estate, But what if we could teach people how to buy real estate that's buying land as opposed to being buying and selling properties? Wholesaling is great. Wholesaling is transactional though. You don't make money until you make the transaction. I love systematic development of money. So I do something one time, I set up one account, I get this one property or I get this one deal, and that thing makes money and that money continues to grow. That's how we have to think. I'd rather buy a piece of land that's in the path of growth. In certain cities, you have land that sits in the way of other development. If you own that land, if you can buy and hold that, and a bunch of Black folks can buy into that, in 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, we all sell our $100,000 land for $7 million. That's stuff we got to get into. So those are the type of things that we can do collectively inside of what we're doing. Project Green was just the name, but we're part of a bigger network of people. So it's just the name of what Earl and I are building together with some other folks, right? You see on here, Dream Chasers. Dream Chasers is part of the bigger team also. But Project Greenwood is a specific project because we have a certain number of Black entrepreneurs and millionaires that we're trying to create right now. So that's what Project Greenwood is.
All right. So this has been crazy. We have talked about the money game. We have talked about cooperative economics. We've talked about the education system. And I guess this is the final thing I want to ask you as we kind of wrap this up, Dana. 2020 for a lot of people was really a nightmarish year. And, 2021, folks have some desires, some goals, some aspirations, typically to lose weight, to have better relationships, and to make money. How can your Project Greenwood initiative assist folks in that regard?
Well, here's the thing. Every year, the two biggest goals that everyone has is either weight loss and getting healthy or making money. Here's why: because 75% of America is out of shape and overweight and obese and morbidly obese for some, and 75% of America is living paycheck to paycheck, broke as a joke, poor, or straight out impoverished. So when you have such 75, 80% of the country who are in that position, it's not going to change unless you change it. So if people are trying to figure out how Project Greenwood would affect that, it's on you. If you set a goal to improve your finances, get your credit score up, pay off more debt, secure better investments, pay down, certain loans, get your taxes lowered. If you had a goal that said anything around finance, make more, save more, then you need a team of experts to help you do that effectively, or you're going to wind up back where you are. Earl, this is what people do. They pay off a big credit card, and then they take that extra money and they spend it. So here I was spending $500 a month on credit cards. I paid the credit card off. Now I got this extra $500. What am I going to do with it? Go spend it. If you are working with Project Greenwood, we're going to show you how to set up this account called the Private Reserve account, and put that in a position where that extra 500 now goes towards what we call a millionaire date. So Earl, we literally, and you've seen this before, we give people a debt-free date and a millionaire date. So now when you have a millionaire date, you got that extra $500 sitting there. Now you start thinking, okay, that millionaire date is in 10 years. If I put $500 a month towards that, it just moved up to 8 years. Now I got a plan. That's way more powerful than, us just doing whatever, right? Just taking that extra money and flossing it. So if you have goals of saving more money, putting your money in better places, you need a team of experts. You need someone who's going to say, okay, cool, here's your debt-free date. Here's your millionaire date. Here's your credit strategy. Here's your debt strategy. Here's laid out. You're going to get an email every single month on this. If you send us your credit reports, we're going to start doing this. If you share your pay stubs with us, we'll show you how to reduce your taxes. We'll look over your Schedule C. If you don't have a team of experts doing this with you, that's why it's called the rat race, because you just wind up keep going right back over and over again.
Hey, Brother Turnquest, we got to have you back on the podcast in a couple of months. Would you be willing to do that, my friend?
This is fun. I love this. Listen, I get excited. You know, with Ambrose is saying what motivates me, the fact that we could touch people and get folks excited about changing their lives, that's what's up. Absolutely.
All right, Ambrose, take us out, brother. Take us out.
Hey, Brother Dana, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. You know, I learned a lot today. Like always, I love coming on podcasts just to listen to individual who's been doing this for the longest, and just to learn from them. This is Ambrose, my partner Earl, and my other partner couldn't be here today. So we are checking out. See you guys on the next podcast. Revitalizing the community one property at a time. See you guys.
So,
Stay
God bless everybody. Thank you, Mr.
thanks for having me, folks.
You're welcome,
Appreciate it.
sir. Thank you.